How's it going, everybody? Well, it certainly wasn't pretty, but the Green Bay Packers get business done at home in Lambeau Field as they defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 27-18. The Green Bay Packers coming out of their bye week a lot healthier than in Dallas. The O-line much better and back to pretty much normal strength. Unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers did go without two key members of the team. Devontae Wyatt did not play. He is still injured. He is an anchor for the Packers' run defense, and that was definitely felt today. Also, Brandon McManus missed his first game as a Green Bay Packer. He is suffering from an injury that seemed not as serious at the beginning of the week, but it ended up being a little bit more serious as the Green Bay Packers run with Lucas Harvisicki. I know I butchered that, and I apologize, but the Packers did get the job done. We'll go through all the stats as normal. I do want to make one more note before we start. Matt LaFleur getting his 70th regular season win. He is now the fastest to 70 regular season wins among current coaches. So congratulations to Matt LaFleur. We will start, as always, with the offense. Jordan Love was 19 of 26 for 259 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. That interception came at the beginning of the game in the Packers' very first drive when they were looking very good, and unfortunately, it was a third down play. Probably should have, he rolled out to his right, probably should have just thrown it away, but he tries to make the play happen, and unfortunately the defender, Geno Stone, makes an absolutely great play and just got the ball. It was tipped, and he got it, and the Packers' drive ended. I feel that play was kind of a momentum shift, even though it was so early in the game. I do think that if the Packers had scored a touchdown there, I think we were looking at a different game. It was certainly the Josh Jacobs show today in Lambeau Field. Josh ran 18 times for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 5 receptions for 57 yards. Josh Jacobs still just being extremely reliable. I know he's had a really rough start to the season, averaging about 3 runs per play, or 3 yards per play, I'm sorry. But he looked very, very good, and definitely without him, the Packers would have lost today. Leading the team in receptions, the rookie Matthew Golden, 3 receptions for 86 yards. He led the team in yards, not receptions. Still waiting to see Golden in the end zone, but it is awesome to see him making big plays, especially on third down and getting open deep down the field. That man is fast, and I'm so excited to continue to watch him play and see the connection between Jordan and him continue to grow. Romeo Doubs, Mr. Reliable, 5 receptions for 55 yards, and Tucker Kraft, 2 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. He was definitely Kraft yak and cheese on his touchdown reception. Overall, it seemed that the Packers had a very good defensive first half and then had a very good offensive second half, so they kind of flip-flopped. Edgerrin Cooper led the team in tackles tonight. Lucas Van Ness had a sack, and then he got hurt a couple plays later, but we'll get into the injuries here in a minute. And then Harvisicki, 2 for 2 on field goals. He was pretty clutch. Glad to see that. It seemed that the secondary struggled a little bit for the most part, especially in the second half. I know you're asking Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon to do a lot by trying to cover T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But overall, I feel like they could have made a couple more plays. But Nixon and Valentine both had pass blocks. So for the most part, they played very well. There was just a couple plays where it was kind of like, letting guys be kind of wide open. I'm not really a fan of it. And I know some of that kind of runs with the prevent defense. I'm not a fan of that. Overall, pressure-wise, they were getting a lot of pressure to Flacco. He had to get the ball out quickly a lot because they were getting that pressure. No holds called on them again. I don't know how, but whatever. I guess that's beyond the point. Let's see here. I do want to say this quick. Near the end of the game, when Jordan slid on third and 2, he slid. Could have got or it was second and whatever. He could have slid near the end of the game and kind of finished it off, but he slid too early. I haven't watched the press conferences yet, but I hope somebody asks him why he went down and didn't try to truck ahead for the 2 yards. We've seen Jordan do that already, especially against Washington and Dallas. So I'm very curious of why he slid and allowed, because then they didn't get the third down, and then they had to kick a field goal and gave the ball back to the Bengals. Let's see here. Really, the play calling was weird. I'm not a fan, like the whole first half. And I think this is definitely why the offense struggled, because they definitely dominated in the first half, but I have a lot of questions with the offense. It seemed like it was just constant weird wide receiver screens, and they were just doing jet sweeps, and they were going around, running 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not a fan of any of that. And it was crazy that all that didn't work, and then they started like throwing the ball downfield, and Josh was running straight. I don't understand why Matt LaFleur calls that stuff. I'm not a fan of that. That's like my one big thing against Matt LaFleur is I don't like the play calls. It's just weird. And again, I'm just a fan who watches. I'm not a professional football coach. I just think it's very, very strange. It's very strange, and I don't like it. A couple injuries we're going to need to watch this week coming up before Arizona. Like I said, Lucas Van Ness had that sack, and a couple plays later, he injured his foot. He was carted off. Wicks got hurt, seemed to hurt his ankle. And Javon Bullard, who was having a pretty good game, he went into possible concussion protocol. So there are definitely things we're gonna need to watch over this next week, heading into Arizona. Let's quickly look at the Cincinnati Bengals stats. Joe Flacco. You gotta love Joe Flacco. Looked a lot better than Jake Browning, I gotta say. Flacco looked good today. He was 29 for 45, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdown passes came on 4th down. One to the back of the end zone, and the first one was after a 17-play, 10-plus minute drive right at the beginning of the second half. So the defense was gassed. And then the defense was definitely, I think, gassed for the rest of the half. So that first one was at the back of the end zone. The second one was just a beautiful throw to Ja'Marr Chase. Nixon in coverage. Ja'Marr Chase kind of got around him and grabbed it and got the touchdown. I will say that it would probably, if Ja'Marr didn't catch that ball, probably could have got Nixon for defensive pass interference, but we don't know. And I will also say that if that wide receiver is not Ja'Marr Chase, they're not making that catch. Ja'Marr Chase is just incredible. That man is a monster. Another point I want to make now that I remember, for the secondaries, turn around. There was a couple flutter balls that Flacco threw that had Nixon or Valentine turned around, they could have easily intercepted it. Easily. Chase Brown, the running back for the Bengals, he had 9 attempts for 47 yards, so the Packers, for the most part, doing a good job in the run blocking, especially without Devontae Wyatt on the field. Ja'Marr Chase, he led the team with 94 yards and a touchdown, 10 receptions for him. Hudson also had the other touchdown at the back of the end zone. And then Geno Stone, like I said, had the 1 interception. Overall, I think that the Bengals came in with a pretty good game plan. This is now, of course, the second time Joe Flacco has played the Packers this year. And now the Ravens and Steelers have the chance to do the funniest thing in the world and trade for him. So then the Packers play Flacco 4 times, all the times in the AFC. That's not going to happen, but it'd be really funny. I did also see a couple of memes on Twitter before or after the Packer game saying that Joe Flacco was traded to the Cardinals because Kyler Murray's hurt. That would also be the funniest thing in the world. It would, please, do it for the beeps. Do it for the memes. Anyway, I think the Bengals came in with a pretty good game plan, coming in with the quarterback who had only been there a couple of days, and then having to go in and play a good Packers defense. I know that it's not pretty, and I see it on Twitter. I know it's not pretty. The Packers did win, which is great. And I know that a lot of people think that, oh, we have Micah Parsons, that means we're going to get like 15 sacks a game. No, that's not what that means. That's not what that means at all. The Packers created good pressure and Flacco did a good job of getting the ball out. And the Cincinnati offensive line did a good job of trying to hold back the Packers pass rush. They only got 1 sack. Now, again, you could sit here and say, oh, well, they're holding Parsons, or they're holding... You could go holding on any play of the game, okay? It's annoying, yes. But I got to say, the Bengals did a very, very good job of protecting Joe Flacco, for the most part. Let's look at some of the full team stats. Time of possession, the Green Bay Packers had 32 minutes, 44 seconds. The Bengals had 27 minutes, 16 seconds. The first downs, 24 and 20, so those were close. The Bengals were 2 of 2 on 4th down. Of course, both of those leading to touchdowns. Packers were 1 for 1. Packers not too great on 3rd down. Neither was Cincinnati. The Bengals ran 2 more plays than the Packers. And penalty-wise, only 8 penalties for both in total teams. Bengals had 3 for 17. The Packers had 5 for 40. So, looking ahead to next week, like I said, I know it's not pretty, but this Packers team is still 3-1-1. They've only lost 1 game. 3-1-1. Again, it's not pretty, and I know that the expectations were sky high in the first 2 games against the Lions and the Commies, but overall, this team's only lost 1 game. So I think that there's a lot of good to look at, and yes, there's stuff to clean up. Yes, the play calling is strange. Yes, the offense is inconsistent. Yes, the defense is inconsistent, but a win today is the special teams did very, very well. No complaints from the special teams today, except Romeo Doubs does not need to be returning punts. That's my only thing I got to say about the special teams today. But the Packers, like I said, 3-1-1. They will head to Arizona next week to take on the 2-4 Cardinals, who just lost to Indianapolis today. We'll get updates throughout the week, obviously, to see if Kyler Murray will play in that game or if they will run with Jacoby Brissett, who played today. And the Cincinnati Bengals, now 2-4, they will head to Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football to take on Aaron Rodgers and the 4-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, who dominated the Browns today. It was a pretty good game. The Steelers look really, really good. So, and that's something the Packers are going to have to deal with very soon. But looking ahead to next week, I think the Packers look good. There's stuff to clean up, but they look good. I know we need to look at the positive here. I know as Packer fans, we tend to overreact sometimes. This is a good Packers team. I really, truly believe that. The pieces are there. The parts are there. We are down people. This offense is going to look so much better when Christian Watson comes back, when Jaden Reed comes back. You have Mr. Reliable and Romeo Doubs. Josh Jacobs is starting to look better. And Matthew Golden is a stud. And I can't wait till he gets better and better. Also, Savion Williams, he had some good runs today. this is a good Packers team. Just wait for this offense to start really clicking and this defense to really start clicking, and it's going to be fun. We're still early in the season, but this Packers team looks good. So I'm very happy tonight. I'm happy they won. Could have looked better, but they got the business done and they won by 9 points. So all in all, I'm happy with it. Look forward to seeing you guys later this week for predictions, and on Sunday for the Packers versus the Cardinals. Yeah. So as always, thanks for watching, and go Pack Go.